What is up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Bearcats Daily. I am your host, Blake Thornton, aka Swiss Roll, and it's that best time of the year, NFL draft time. Draft going on, 3 days of all football picks. First night is Thursday night, starting at 8 o'clock. We got the first rounds. 2 and 3 are on night two, and then we close it up on Saturday, starting with the fourth through the seventh rounds. And I cannot wait to see this. It's one of the best times of the year as a football fan. We get to see not only the players we've enjoyed watching in college, but we get to see where they're going to end up in the pros. And hopefully, if you're a fan of an NFL team, you get a UC Bearcat on your team as well, guys that you enjoy watching, so it's easier to follow. But it's such a great time. The draft every year, unfortunately, it's in that place out east, Pittsburgh. Disgusting to even say the name. But hey, we'll let him have it one time since he always does it better. Hopefully, we can host the draft, have a big draft class coming out of Cincinnati, and make it a really special time when we get it. So, fingers crossed, but who knows where we'll end up, right? Now, we come in for UC since 2000. They've had 51 draft picks come out of that class, come out of the school, I should say. Problem with that is, since 2021, 18 players have been drafted. So out of the 51 drafted since the turn of the millennium, nearly half of those have come since 2021. With 2022 being a record-setting draft for UC, they had 9 players overall get selected in the 2022 draft. And for those of you who have followed this team for a very long time, you will know that maybe the best team to ever come out of UC in 2022, with guys like Desmond Ridder, Sauce Gardner, Alec Pierce, just to name a few, and plenty more were drafted from that squad. Playoff team, made school history, back-to-back American Athletic Conference championships, led at the helm by Luke Fickell. It just was an amazing team to watch and really set the standard moving forward for what this program can and should do every year. You got to put out winning teams with guys who are going to go on and play in the show. And we also had a record set in 2022 by Sauce Gardner when he was drafted number 4 overall to the Jets. Thankfully, he's no longer there, save his career. But he was selected 4th overall, which was the highest draft pick in school history since 1969 when Greg Cook went number 5 overall. So a big year in 2022, and it was just an absolute honor to see that, cheering them on all season for that year. It's a fun year every year, but that season was so special. And shame we came up short. Bama took us down in the college football playoff, but you know what? Couldn't have been happier with how that team represented Cincinnati and where we went from there. So really excited in terms of past history, recent history especially, where we are showing this school is producing NFL talent. And not only is that producing, they're recruiting. They're getting guys in the building. So we really need that to continue, because the more that we get guys to move forward, the more the word spreads, the more of a commodity that Cincinnati becomes in recruiting these guys. Because if we can pitch, hey, we're putting 5, 6, 7 guys in the draft every year that are getting drafted and getting to play at the next level, that's a big recruiting point, especially during a time when NIL money is really becoming, hey, we'll just pay you the most to get you in the building. And a lot of guys are taking it. So it doesn't hurt to give yourselves edges wherever you can, because UC is not going to be able to compete with a big budget to some of these schools when going after the 4 and 5-star recruits. And that's okay. They're not a big school, as big as others, I should say. And that's fine. So you've got to find other ways. And if we can put guys in the draft every year that are getting drafted and moving forward, you can't really ask for much more as a player when you're being recruited other than money. Hey, we've got the guys and we've got the talent. We can get you drafted and on to the next level. Seems like a pretty solid idea to me. If you're there to move to the next level, you would pick programs that are putting guys into the show. And they've done that. They have done that consistently now for the last 4 or 5 years. Prior to that, it was a little hit and miss. We went through a lot, but there are worse things. You are starting to show promise and consistency in getting guys into the draft and into the next level. So they need to continue doing that, especially with the draft class that we have coming up this year. I'm very excited for them. I'm very excited to see where they go. There's some guys that could stay close to home. It's going to be good to watch them and see them as they move forward. and it'd be cool to follow. You got our Jake Golday is currently leading the UC draft class. Leading as in he's probably going to be the highest pick coming out of this draft class. He's ranked number 4 in the draft in terms of linebackers overall. Not number 4 overall, just the linebackers. He's number 4. Now, where does that put him in the draft? So most mock drafts have him going to the Indianapolis Colts in the second round. Looking probably between the 48th to 50th overall prospect. A lot of guys are saying, he's probably going to go to the Indianapolis Colts. He'll go with Lou Anarumo, former Cincinnati Bengal defensive coordinator. So I'm sure in their time, especially when they used to have to use the UC practice facility, I'm sure they had a lot of talk with the coaches back and forth for guys. So Golday's probably a household name over there. Nothing wrong with that. It'd be great to see him close by. Nothing wrong with Indy necessarily. They're not the Bengals, but hey, who is? So if he ends up there, there's not a lot of worse places he could be. He'll be still close to Cincinnati where he played. A lot of people can still support him. I really wish him nothing but the best for this draft. I'd love to see him go higher than, 47th, but when you have 105 tackles coming in, can't ask much. That's pretty solid in terms of stats. I believe he had 8.7 tackles a game is what it broke down to, which was one of the leading tackles per game in the country. All Big 12 first team coming off in his senior season. He's got the accolades. He's got the film. I just think he'll do well, especially under Lou Anarumo, who seems to have a good handle on developing linebackers. He developed quite a few guys who were late round draft picks for the Bengals and wound up taking them to the Super Bowl with those guys. So I think Golday will do very well out there with Lou if that's where he ends up. It's the draft. Crazier things happen, but that's just where they stand as of now. We'll find out sooner rather than later and kind of go from there with it. Another gentleman in there with him is Joe Royer. He was a tight end for UC for 2 years. Started out 3 years at Ohio State. He made the right choice coming to Cincinnati personally. Who likes Ohio State? He, first season in, comes in 2024, breaks Travis Kelce's single season reception record with 50 catches. Just comes in, immediately breaks a record. Talk about announcing your presence. Was a huge fan of how he played while in UC. Sure-handed, strong-handed catches. Was able to break tackles, could run routes very well, and I was surprised at the space he was able to get during his route running as a tight end. Because most tight ends, you're mostly going for size. You're going to get an underneath route or try to get that step, and you just kind of hold the defender back. But he could really snap off a route and get into it. Coming into this last season, he took a bit of a step back, and by that I mean he didn't break his own record. He came in with 29 receptions, slightly under, but we know the offense kind of had its moments last year where they just weren't connecting. Sorsby was kind of missing some throws. It really was not the gelling that we saw the year prior. So throw that out the window. He didn't break a record, but he's still one of the top tight ends. Looking probably for him 4th or 5th round, more than likely. They got him ranked as the 12th overall tight end in the draft. So 4th or 5th round, he should no doubt be drafted. Definitely has earned it. He's definitely got the caliber of player. So we can only hope, our guys go as high as they can, but probably looking at the 4th or 5th round to get him in there. And hey, getting drafted, that just gives you a chance. You can go in and make a splash in any round you're drafted. Everyone knows the story of Tom Brady. You can even talk about Luke Wilson, Logan Wilson, who came to Cincinnati as a 5th rounder from Wyoming and was one of the top linebackers in the NFL. So you've got Joe Royer. He's got his name out there. If he can get drafted, who says he can't make a splash in whatever team he goes to? And I really am excited to see him move forward as he continues his career after this draft. I just hope it's somewhere, we can all enjoy him and not a team that we all despise, like Kansas City or Pittsburgh. But you got Dante Corleone, our captain, the Godfather, finally is going into the draft. After a great career at UC where he was able to be an AP third-team All-American. His freshman year, he was the highest graded defender by Pro Football Focus in the nation. He's a freshman in 2022. Again, we know the history of that team. Standouts galore. And Corleone was the highest graded defender in that season in the country. I mean, coming in as a freshman and just destroying guys to be the highest graded. That's a heck of an achievement and one that we all enjoyed. There's not a person that cheers for UC that wears this black and red that doesn't see Dante Corleone and just absolutely love the guy. I mean, 2024 Big 12 first team. In 2023 and 25, he was a Big 12 second team honors. The guy just was an absolute beast on the field, and I loved watching him play here in Cincinnati. The guy just got it. Now, he did have a little bit of issues, with the heart, health wise, and I'm glad he came through that. It's nothing to mess with at all. That may play into this draft in terms of him actually getting drafted. He could go undrafted. He's ranked the 30th overall D tackle in the draft. Not exactly up there, not 30th overall, but the 30th defensive tackle. So, not saying he won't get drafted. I do think that there is pause when it comes to injuries and medical things for players entering their draft. Lord knows guys have fallen down the draft board for a lot less. There's hundreds of stories out there of guys who did something stupid or they had kind of a nagging injury thing, and that just put all the NFL reps to be like, we're not going to draft him. Take it for what you will. I ain't judging, but it's just one of those things for sure where they are just going to have to wait and see with him. And it's not necessarily unfortunate, but you just don't know what you're going to get. You don't know what teams are going to be like, this guy still played. We can take a chance. It won't be a first or second round pick. There's no doubt about it. He's just not going to go. It will not be a day one or day two. And then there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with not being drafted in the first or second round. Teams are built off the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh rounders. You're not going to win a Super Bowl with just one pick. You're just not going to do it. Very rarely has there ever been one player that you draft that immediately makes you win a Super Bowl. It helps, but these higher draft picks don't always work out, and neither do the lower ones. So no matter where these guys are drafted, they still have a shot to well surpass where they were drafted, well surpass what people think their value is worth, and I hope they do. There's nothing wrong with proving people wrong when it comes to your worth. We didn't like this guy. We thought he was a fourth rounder. Go out there and make history. Go out there and just dominate and be like, yeah, I may have been drafted fourth, but guess what? I don't care. I'm still going to play. And I think Corleone is a guy like that. Wherever he does get drafted, that team is going to get a dog. Somebody that just is a glass eater that wants to basically put their nose down in the dirt and go until the play's dead. I love Corleone for that. I hope he does well. And I really like the fact that even with all he went through, he still showed up every day and played and did his best and is going to be drafted, hopefully, to reward all his hard work. I really hope for that for him. Another gentleman in this draft class for these guys is our receivers. They've got two of them going in the draft. The first one is Jeff Caldwell. He's currently ranked number 26 wide receiver in the draft. Puts him about probably day 3 would probably be a safe bet of where he's going to end up, 4th through 7th round. He only played one season of FBS. He only had one season. And he didn't do bad. 32 catches, 478 yards, and 6 touchdowns in the one season he had before entering this draft. Solid numbers. But he really stood out at the combine to help kind of boost his draft stock, I think. I mean, what he was doing there was an absolute showcase. He had a 4.31 40 time. 4.31 is cooking. It's not a record, but that is cooking and just flat out getting it. So speed kills. And he's definitely able to show that to the guys. But he's also explosive. An 11'2" broad jump. 42-inch vertical. And not only that, his 10-yard dash time was 1.48 seconds. That led the combine for the 10-yard dash. Led the combine. All the players there, he was leading with that stat. So what does that mean? It means you've got Tyreek Hill-like speed where in 10 yards, he going to get by you. Even if you're moving, guess what? He's going to get by you. So they're going to have to figure out a way to keep him in line with that speed, and I think teams are going to like that. They're going to want to put him in the slot. They're going to want to get mismatches with linebackers where that speed is just going to take him by people. And if they're by him, all the quarterback's got to do is just lead him enough. Don't underthrow his speed. If you underthrow a guy with speed, they're going to be so upset. And it just ruins it because then they have to slow down. We've had a couple players like that come through Cincy over the years, and Lord knows speed is a blessing, 100% blessing. His counterpart, Cyrus Allen's going in. They've got him ranked as number 27. So both receivers are back to back in terms of the prospect pool for the receiving group. Probably again day 3, looking for them to get drafted. Love to see him day 2, maybe slip in there, but where they're all ranked, usually they're pretty close on those, and not many people are going to reach down in terms of the positional overall depth. Overall, people made for best player available, but you don't really see that too much in the breakdown. So they got him as number 27. Tied the school record his senior season in touchdowns, had 13 of them to go along with 46 catches, 736 yards, and he made the all Big 12 second team for his senior year. Now, again, the 2025 season, our offense had games where it was putting up points, but then, on that back end, kind of struggled a little bit. And that's been the case. That seems to be the case, the last couple years under Satterfield, especially in November, where the offense just kind of stalls. It gets stagnant. They're not able to move the ball. So, a lot of these stats may be, there's some outlying games in it, and there's some explosive games, but it all kind of balances out. So, 13 TDs in one season, tying a school record, definitely showing up and showing out. Our best thing for these guys as a whole is we're going to have guys in the draft. We are going to get guys onto NFL teams, and that's all we can do. That's all a college is really supposed to do. You're supposed to get these kids an education, bring them in, get them coached up, and get them ready for the next level. You go to school to get a degree. You go to college football to prepare for the NFL. Ideally, in situations, both should go hand in hand, but they don't. And why is that now? Because of NIL money. NIL is going to ruin college sports, and it kind of already has. You got guys entering the transfer portal every other day. Now, granted, I know there are windows and only certain times they can do it, and blah, blah, blah. NIL is going to ruin college sports. You will see, as time goes, these smaller schools who can't really recruit guys because they don't have the money, because people are like, well, they're going to pay me more. I'm going to go there. And you can argue with me that, not every player is worried about money, or, some guys actually want to go to school and they'll make decisions based on that. And I'm sure there are. I'm sure that there is a handful of guys who, they could go get money, but they also are smart enough to realize that sports isn't forever. They're going to get their degree. There are those people. But overall, you can't tell me if you dangle $3 million in front of a kid's face, he's going to say no. Now, if there are multiple offers, okay, then he can have choices. But a lot of these kids are so focused on money now, I don't necessarily know they're thinking long term. I'm going to use Brendan Sorsby as the example for that, because Brandon Sorsby signed the 2-year NIL deal with UC, made $800 and some odd thousand his first year, and then went to Texas Tech before completing the second year of that contract, getting paid between like $4 and $6 million, I think was the numbers. $4 to $6 million to play a game in school. In college football, he's getting paid up to $6 million to play a game. Seems a little ridiculous. So what is that doing to college football then? Well, it's honestly causing a split. Eventually, it's going to be an Eastern Conference and a Western Conference. They'll play the 10 games, and then there's going to be the playoffs, however many teams it is at that point. But it's already kind of moving in that direction. You've got the SEC and Big Ten have basically absorbed, Big Ten got some Pac-12 guys. The Pac-12 no longer exists. It's gone. You've got Pac-12 teams in the Big 12. And then you had some Big 12 teams go to the SEC. And you'll notice as you start to look at all the schools, and especially the Big Ten and SEC, are all big money schools. Now, SEC was big money long before NIL. But with this movement into paying players, it's going to start causing some smaller schools who can't pay guys. They're not going to be able to compete. They're not going to be able to. The guys that they're trying to recruit are going to start going to these other schools, and eventually it's become a top heavy league where the highest guys are going to basically run the show. It's not gonna. It's gonna be who can spend the most to win. They're plain and simple. So you'll have East and you'll have West because teams aren't going to want to travel as much. They're going to be spending money elsewhere. And we don't need to travel from California all the way to Columbus, Ohio, or Alabama, or Florida. They're not going to want to travel cross country. So how do they do that? They make a Western Conference to go against the Eastern Conference. They'll play their games and then come together. I don't like it. Is there anything right now that says this is exactly what's going to happen? No. But it is something that I see as a trend moving forward that guys have started to want to build a power conference in football. When Texas and Oklahoma went to the SEC, I immediately just want to raise my hand and go, so why are we moving conferences when you're already in a Power 4 of the Big 12? And the truth is, it's money, it's size, and it's a progression towards just having two conferences in football. With the playoffs, two conferences isn't going to be the worst thing. The way the playoffs run. If they expand the field even more, good Lord, we're going to have, we'll have March Madness for basketball, and we're going to have December delinquency or something for the 40 playoff games we're going to have for football if they keep adding. If they don't, yeah, two conferences would make it easier. You're going to take, 5 teams from here, 5 teams from here, or however they decide to do it. It could work. And this is all just a personal thought that I have when it comes to all the ways that schools are spending money on players now. Doesn't make it right. And you may disagree with me, and that's okay. I would love to hear y'all's thoughts. If you have questions, throw them in the comments section for me. I'll try to get at least 1 or 2 answered, get the back and forth with you guys, because honestly, this is meant to be that. We can share opinions. We can disagree. But that doesn't mean that we have to argue about it or fight about it. We can have a discussion. And I think schools should really have that discussion of, do we really want to just pay players this exuberant amount of money? And yes, colleges are making a ton of money off football programs, off of sports in general. They're making a ton of money. Do I think that players themselves should get that money? No. I don't think players should be making millions of dollars in college. You're already getting a free place to live. You're getting free education, free meals. You don't really need that much money. You don't. Not 6 figures. And I know we're talking about a small percentage of guys in college who will make 6 figures, but as a whole, no reason to be paying players. And I think that divide in different schools in terms of what money can be spent and what is available will move college to have 2 different conferences. And that's it, an East and a West. I hope not, but you know what? That's down the road. We have the draft coming up. It's been a great day. I appreciate y'all joining in. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, the like button. Shoot me a message in the comments. If you have questions you'd like answered on the show, would love to hear it. And I look forward to seeing y'all at the next show. Thank you.